Kilo 404 Boxing. Shout out to the Ldbc. Shout out to Marlowe's Corner. You have to subscribe to Marlowe's Corner. Go over there and check them out. Subscribe to Marlowe. Check out Marlowe and Trey X, the panel, the chat. It's always live on the corner. Hey, real quick, I want to talk about Gervonte Tank Davis. You know, as we all know, Tank had a fight which would have been coming up this weekend versus Abdamares. Abdamares called Tank out some time ago. Tank accepted. Fight got made, and you know, we were about 2 weeks out from the fight. Abdamares pulled out. Basically, what it boils down to is he had suffered a detached retina in training camp or sparring or what the case may be, and he ended up having to pull out of the fight. Now his career is actually could be in jeopardy. So, you know, I hope for the best for Abdamares. But as far as Tank, you know, I've been hearing a lot of criticism of Tank Davis for you know, his opposition for this fight. And you know, of course the guy isn't, you know, the upper echelon. He isn't a you know, the guy he's fighting, I think his name is Hugo Ruiz, but he's not, you know, Lomachenko. He's not a Mikey Garcia or even a Jorge Linares or even a Jose Pedraza, you know, guy that, you know, Tank's actually already beaten in Pedraza. But, you know, the reality is that, you know, a lot of people, you know, want to criticize him for who he's fighting, as if, you know, Tank, you know, when his handler said, well, let's go out there and find the easiest guy we could possibly find. You know, of course, I think they may have actually wanted to go with a Hispanic fighter just because the, you know, location of the fight being out on the West Coast. The fight was already selling very well. They actually added seating, and Abdamares being a Mexican American. So, you know, with all of that may have very well went into the selection of an opponent. But I don't think that you know, it was ever realistic to expect there to be a, you know, upper echelon contender or another champion or what have you step up with 2 weeks notice and get in there with Gervonte Tank Davis. You know, that is asking a bit much of Tank, as well as any opponent who would have been willing to step up, and especially a name fighter. I mean, yeah, that's truly daring to be great, and that's something to admire. But the odds are that, you know, most of these guys aren't going to be fight ready and can get ready in 2 weeks, have a 2-week training camp to fight a guy like Tank Davis and go in there and be able to give Tank a fight. You know, I mean, you don't want to go into a fight like that and get blown out by a guy, because all the record books are going to remember, all the record books are going to reflect is that you went in there and got blown out, or whatever the case may be. And even if it backfired for Tank, you know, so I'm not very critical of Tank in this situation. I'm eager to see what happens next. If should Tank, you know, be successful in defending this title in this fight, I'm eager to see what's next for him. But I think the plan is for Tank to begin to really catch some traction and start moving a little bit faster along and getting a better fights. I think they want to keep him active. He sat on the shelf way too long in 2018. I think 2019 the plan is for Tank to have at least 3 fights, maybe 4 fights. So, you know, I'm eager to see what the move is going to be after this fight. You know, hopefully Tank can get a win, and hopefully he don't come out of this fight with any kind of injury or anything that's going to prevent him from being able to move ahead with another fight. You know, I've said that I'd like to see Tank back in the ring within, you know, 6 weeks to I wouldn't say that, but I'd like to see Tank back in the ring April, May time frame, you know, somewhere in there. Early May, late April is when I'd like to see Tank back in the ring. You know, because Tank's a young fighter. I think Tank's inactivity contributes to him ballooning up in weight. And if he's staying active more often and he's having to go back to camp, and having shorter breaks from fight camps and from fights, he'll keep his weight down. Because at some point, that stuff catches up with a fighter as he gets older. You know, the same thing you done to cut weight at 24 years old, when you hit 29, it doesn't work. You know, all of a sudden it worked the last fight, and then you do the exact same thing in the next fight, and you come into the weigh-in 3 pounds overweight. So, and we've already seen Tank miss weight and lose his title on the scale before. So, you know, I don't want to see Tank in a situation like that again. I don't want to see him killing himself to make weight. I don't want to see that for any fighter. So, you know, I hope for the best for Tank going forward. I want to see him in there with pick'em type fights, pick'em type opponents. You know, I want to see him, you know, in some fights that going into the fight is like, I don't know, you know, Tank may be in tough, he may lose. You know, I don't want to see the upper echelon guys, not just Tank. I don't want to see the upper echelon guys continuously going into fights that there's a predetermined outcome before the fight ever takes place. Now, this is boxing, the theater of the unexpected. Anything could happen, of course. But I'd like for these guys to be matched up against other guys that is like, okay, you know, you really have to sit down and study the guys, study their style, study their opposition, the outcomes, their habits, you know, to really make an educated determination on who you think will win the fight. And you know what I'm saying? So that's where I stand on that. You know, but once again, you know, looking forward to the fight this weekend. I don't know a whole lot about Tank's opponent, but, you know, I'm sure he's going to come in at a fight and give Tank everything that he has to give. And we'll see how it plays out. That's all I got to say on the subject. Shout out to the Ldbc. Shout out to my subscribers. Anyone has subscribed to the channel, ask that you please subscribe. Hit that bell icon. Hey, and drop a comment in the comment section. I'm out. Peace.